I was born in Karachi, Pakistan, but left the country at an early stage around the time of the Bangladesh War. And I have trained largely in the United States, where I was professor of physiology and biophysics at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, where the majority of my career was spent. However, I've made attempts, and I'm going to describe my most recent attempt to re-engage with research and higher education in Pakistan. So the first attempt was made right after my postdoctoral work at Caltech, where I went to Pakistan in the mid 1980s. That was the time of the Zia-ul Haq regime, but realized very soon that the timing was not favorable, and B, I was not of sufficient maturity myself in my career to make a difference. And so I returned. And then I re-engaged more recently, and this is the period that I want to talk about. So Pakistan is actually the land of Pakistan is very ancient. I mean, this is the land of the Indus Valley civilizations, the land where the Vedic culture, the Vedic literature was developed, the land that saw the golden age of Buddhism under the Indo-Greek kingdoms, and then the flowering of Sufism in the 14th and 15th centuries with the arrival of Islam. Modern Pakistan starts with after the British. British left India in 1947 to create the modern states of India and Pakistan. So my second re-engagement with Pakistan began about 2005, and it was for a variety of personal and professional reasons, but a major motivating factor were the positive changes that had been wrought in Pakistan by the then military government of General Musharraf, and there was a higher education commission which has the status of a ministry that was founded in the early 2000s. And this commission realized that in order to interface Pakistani science with the international community, they needed to attract, first of all, expatriates who were outside, and second, send the younger scientists abroad for training. So they established the foreign faculty hiring program, and indeed I was the first senior, or one of the first senior professors hired under this program to go back and consult with the government. And I went back and I was based at the premier institute for molecular biology there, the Center for Molecular Biology in Lahore, Pakistan, which is one of our biggest and indeed most historic cities. And I was and continue to be on the advisory committee of the Pakistan Higher Education Commission, advising them on matters of biotechnology and on guiding them in order to send young scientists abroad to establish foreign collaborations. So a lot has been done, and again, just to give a brief history of the infrastructure. There has been a tradition, first of all, of physics, which has been nurtured by theoretical physicist Abdul Salam and his students. And so there is a strong physics tradition due to the Salam school, and that carries on with the International Center for Theoretical Physics, that which has many links with Pakistani institutions. During British India, the University of Lahore or Punjab in Lahore was one of the major universities of British India, and it had as its alumni people like Gobind Khurana in organic chemistry, people like Chandrasekhar in physics. Uh, Organic chemistry again has a tradition. So Khurana is part of that tradition, but they have other organic chemists that have flowered and trained in Lahore and other Pakistani universities. In biology, the modern biology, the impetus for molecular biology really came from a US Pakistani expatriate, Ahmad Bukhari, who worked on muphage in Cold Spring Harbor laboratories. And Ahmad went back and he recruited people like Riazuddin, who's the director of the Center for Excellence in Molecular Biology, to really establish molecular biology in this country. In fact, my first trip to Pakistan in the mid-80s was made on the prompting of Ahmad Bukhari, and I hooked up with Riazuddin to set up what was then a nascent institute, the Center for Molecular Biology. And now there are a number of such institutes. There's a very nice group in Quaid-e-Azam, the Kahuta Lab by Qasim Mehdi, the National Center for Engineering and Biotechnology, Kausar Malik. So there's a lot going on in Pakistan that's good. There are a lot of initiatives that are positive, and the effort of both expatriates as well as I think the international communities now to support those efforts. There are problems which I think are intrinsic really to developing societies. And let me just touch on those very briefly. Pakistan is not immune to those, but even much larger and established scientific cultures like India and China have these problems. So what are the problems? Well, one, as you've discussed, is the isolation. So now what that isolation leads is to directly is outdated curricula, outdated syllabi, in-rote learning, and an inability of different disciplines to come together to form interfacial disciplines, which certainly in biology and chemistry represent a lot of the more modern cutting-edge science. So that's one issue that we are addressing at various levels. The other issue is you have a culture, a scientific culture that's based on hierarchy and patronage. So the problem becomes, how do we get our young people to flourish, to stay, to feel, to have a stake in the enterprise and contribute to it? Here, again, I think there are lots of initiatives being taken. And I think I've touched on the national thing. International efforts like the Gates Foundation and so on are, again, excellent initiatives that inspire a lot of young scientists in Pakistan and elsewhere in the developing world. And then there's the issue of sending them abroad. Now, the problem there is the peer review system. Who do you decide to send abroad? How do you acknowledge merit? What is the nature of the scientific collaboration? And again, I think a problem in Pakistan, and I'm sure other developing countries, is that the expertise to offer competent peer review and to encourage merit is thin on the ground. So there are a few visionaries, but you don't have the critical mass that's needed to recognize quality work, to recognize creativity, and reward it accordingly. So I think that is an issue, but again, I think that issue is being addressed. And I think the other issue, again, very natural for any developing society, is the balance between applied and pure science. So you have problems that need urgent solution, like roads need to be built, bridges need to be built, there needs to be enough food on the table for most people. So those are the problems. But then in order to poise any society for the future, investment has to be made in the basic sciences. The basic fundamentals have to be good in order to set the stage for innovation and creativity. So let me end with what I've done in my second tenure there, which was really for about a 5-year stint. Now it will end summer of 2012. So I went back initially, as I say, to consult with the government, but then accepted an offer or was persuaded by my friend, project manager Khurram Afridi, to set up a new school of science and engineering in Pakistan called LUMS. And I, together with Khalid Rashid of Texas, who trained in Heidelberg with Wittek, were responsible for setting up the life sciences division. And basically, our aim there, and I think to a large extent that aim has been met, had been to focus on the fundamentals, have a no boundaries philosophy so that interfacial disciplines, for example, like nanomaterials or biophysics, which is my discipline, have at least a presence. And then set up a proper review mechanisms and establish international collaboration. So again, the nature of the collaborations is an important one. So you could have a collaboration where basically Pakistan serves as a component to supply raw materials or collect data. Well, I mean, that's not an ideal collaboration. I mean, it's not for either side. What you want is our people on the ground to be involved in a holistic way in the whole research and development enterprise. And that means that they have to be trained and master the fundamentals. So in biology, I've put in great effort to emphasize the value of model systems that are needed not only for the growth of biology, but for the growth of biotechnology or medicine. The value of systems like yeast, E. coli, and so on, and what these systems have achieved and continue to achieve. Under my tenure, we hired Mohammad Tariq, who set up the Fly Lab, the Drosophila genetics lab, which was, I think, has been a major new in Pakistan science. So essentially, there are a lot of challenges, but I think there's a lot of hope. And in particular, what I have been impressed with is the dynamism of Pakistani scientific society and indeed of Pakistani society as a whole. So I think, yes, indeed, there are challenges, but we will surmount them.